and we'll answer some of the chat. What's good, you guys? Happy Sunday. We're back with Gold
Happy
Blooded.
Sunday.
How you doing?
Good. I just came back from Sam's Club. I had to get some groceries for the week.
Okay.
There was an accident on the freeway. Hopefully they're good.
Yes.
Because that was
Prayers
a
up.
whole lot of traffic. But
Yeah.
we're here.
We're here. Sorry about being a little bit late, chat. But shout out to you guys. What's up, Dub Nation and our trolls in the chat. Thanks for being here with us. I know we've got a lot of NFL games going on. Obviously, not gonna lie, I'm excited / nervous for my Niners. This is my Super Bowl, so I'm excited for that. Michigan did pretty well. How are you feeling about that?
They clinched. That's dope. Should be fun to see how they perform for the rest of the tournament. Happy to see my college doing some great things. Even though I don't follow football that well. Shout out to them because you know when they win, we win. So it's pretty cool.
Facts. Absolutely. What's good, P. Greasy, Irvin? Thanks for joining. Okay. So, Mikhail, what's up? So, we are going to be without KB today. He's dealing with some family stuff, but that opens up the floor to have a lot of you guys on. So, we'll do that later on in the show. Like always, make sure to leave us a super chat, but because it is going to be kind of quiet today, we can always read some of the chat too. FIFA, you need to come up here today, actually. We'll have you on if you think you're going to cook me, because last time I checked, the Mavs lost yesterday. So.
Oh wow, I didn't think she was gonna say that. Okay,
but it almost was one of the greatest comebacks I've seen. So, shout out to you, FIFA. So, Gifted might be. Look, I mean, we have a lot to get into, but overall, I just want to kind of sense your temperature after the game yesterday. You know, it was a Saturday early game, at least for me, on the West Coast. And, you know, I thought we were sitting pretty, felt comfortable, all for it to once again disappear just like that in the second half. So I know people are going to clown us, and rightfully so. It was a disgusting loss. But how are you feeling after yesterday?
Yeah. So, well, for one, I said coming in, we play the Clippers twice. I predicted we would split and we would win one of those games. That was true. But given the context of that second game that we lost, the loss stings a lot. I mean, we're dominant in the first half, and then our defense falls off a cliff in the second half. Literally, like I remember the plays in my head. Moses Moody missed a free throw. Didn't really care too much about that though, because he was good for the game. The issue is that with 35 seconds left, the Clippers score such a quick basket on a 2-for-1, and we get no consistent offense. Steph was great in the first half, terrible in the second half.
Yeah.
And we lose. Klay actually played pretty well too.
Yeah.
And we still lost the game. So that's kind of unfortunate. I hear people saying, oh, well, it's fine because they didn't have GP2 Andrew Wiggins. It's not fine because good teams don't routinely blow 20-point leads, especially when they're in the driver's seat of the game. So tough loss, but not too mad because, again, I thought we would split and we did. So I'll take that.
I was with you initially. Like early on, I was like, okay, if we can get one at home, they'll get theirs. It's fine. But when you're leading by that much and lose, you know, in such a fashion, especially in a fashion where it can be preventable. Obviously, you know, if Paul George is going to hit that, you can't control that. But I think down the stretch, especially there in the fourth quarter, even in the second half, actually, I think we didn't have that many fouls. I don't even think we had any turnovers. So in that sense, it was, you know, good, I guess. Draymond came out strong in the first, had those 4 threes. But my biggest question mark is why is Steve Kerr so anti-bigs at this point? We have nothing to lose when we don't have Gary Payton, when we don't have Wiggins, when we don't have Chris Paul. So I don't understand why we can't play Trayce Jackson just a few minutes. He played 0 minutes, another DNP, and I'm just confused at this point. Why are we not trying something? And where's Usman Garuba? I don't understand why he hasn't gotten any minutes. I don't understand why we're playing Steph, Klay. I mean, Steph, obviously, he's always going to get a pass, right? But I don't understand when you can tell that, you know, Klay is tired, when you can tell that just our stars they're tired. Like they're getting older and they're having to play more minutes. And I just think that Corey Joseph isn't the answer. I would take anyone over playing him 15 minutes and not really adding anything to our system. So I'm frustrated. Like I'm mad. I'm not mad at the Warriors. I understand they have a lot to kind of wade through right now, but I'm mad. And maybe that falls on Steve Kerr and the coaching staff. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a tough spot. I was watching the first Clippers game live on playback, right? So like
Yep.
I'm sitting there watching it. Moses Moody almost turns the ball over, but instead it's a live ball in the first quarter, gets deflected. And I instantly say, I know Steve Kerr, I know this team. Because
Yeah.
Moody
Yeah.
almost turned the ball over. He's gonna sub him out. Here comes Corey Joseph. And quite literally, that is what happened. I feel like Steve Kerr's choices have been questionable. I
Yes.
think that sure the roster isn't healthy and guys have to play better. Obviously, that is the first and foremost of things, but
Yeah.
the decision making was weird. I mean, even in the Clippers game, right? Like that was a big play that Corey Joseph made, finding Klay Thompson for that buzzer beater three. That was huge, right? But then in the fourth quarter to like have them go for such a long stretch without Steph, I mean,
Yeah.
you're not going to win the game if the offense is lacking that badly. And then when
Yeah.
Steph finally does come back in, now it's more work to, have to try to sustain because there's no Chris Paul. Like his value is to basically come in there and be able to make those choices with that unit
Right.
to get them back in the game to
Right.
tread water. If you don't have that, then Steph is going to have to play more minutes, especially in the fourth. Also, I get so sick and tired of when Steph is hot, Kerr sits him because then when he comes back in the game, he's no longer that hot. He has to like reacclimate to the game. I feel like we're
He's
in a
always done
position
that
where,
though. Always.
well, yeah, and I've always had a problem with it because
Me
it's
too.
like,
Yeah.
why, right? Like, why are you taking out a player that drops 18 points in the first half and could keep that momentum going, but instead you take him out a little bit towards the end of the second quarter, and then in the third, all of a sudden we missed like four straight, baskets and Clippers back to back to back, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden it's a close game again. That's how we keep blowing these leads.
100%. And it's like I could tell like at the end of the second they started to start giving up some points and the Clippers started a mini run. And
Yep.
that's the point where I would think as a coach, you say, okay, what can I identify here and what can we do to stop this? And in my opinion, if you're going to stop a team, especially like the Clippers, you're going to put size on the court and as much defense as you can. So, I mean, obviously we're missing GP2, but there's just no excuse, and I'm frustrated. And obviously, the Clippers should have won when we're at our weakest. They're pretty much full force. They should have won both games. The Clippers are just trash. I don't know. We can get into that too, because I mean, in Kerr's post game, he's like, "Yeah, I mean, that should have been a win for them." No, it shouldn't have though. Like when you're up that much, it should not have been a win. And
Exactly.
I know a lot of you guys somebody mentioned, we haven't really been the same since Mike Brown left. And that's a really good point. I miss him. I missed him. I felt it a lot last season where I was like, we're seeing the Kings constantly and that's been a fun rivalry, if you will. But Mike Brown was so crucial to the defensive development of our team. And now we have a bunch of rookies. And I just feel that absence so much this season. But another thing, I want to know your opinion. You mentioned Moses Moody, who has been a absolute rock star. He's been fire. I love seeing him on the court, and I want to see him on there more. It's so frustrating when we start him in a starting lineup. Like that's huge for him, and he plays like 10 minutes. And I really don't understand. I think he has great decision making ability. I think obviously his defense is top notch compared to a lot of the other rookies, and I would just like to see him more. But out of Brandon, JK, who we saw some great minutes from yesterday, especially, and Moses Moody, who's kind of stood out to you, if one or maybe all of them have.
Well, I'm happy that you brought up Moody
Yeah.
because that brings us to the first game that we didn't talk about, the Kings in-season tournament game,
Yeah.
where Moses Moody is playing well the entire game. In the fourth quarter, makes a huge flurry, and then Kerr sits him down, and then we lose the game. Now,
Yep.
obviously, should we have blown that lead? That again, that's another blown lead for us.
Yep.
That's not good. But at a certain point, if you have a hot hand, you feed the hot hand.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why Kerr deviated from that, because remember in the Suns game that we lost, when Corey Joseph was in the game, even though he wasn't doing shit on the basketball court,
Mm-hmm.
when they went on a 17-5 run, he kept Corey Joseph in to play with Steph, Chris Paul, and Klay, which made no sense as a four-guard lineup.
Yeah.
So why can't that logic be kept for Moody, who's actually playing well in the game, has been playing really good defense, has attacked closeouts, has rebounded the ball? His value would have helped us a lot at the end of that Kings game, but instead we don't do that and we lose.
Do you want to know my theory?
Yeah.
I think that there was never intentions for the season to go anywhere. I think that they're either tanking or they are purposefully losing games. I mean, obviously, like, we can't blame it on, like, people. Like, I'm not saying that initially we started the season like that, but maybe at this point they're like, we don't have enough to work with. We're not going to make any big trades this season. So let's just try and get a lottery pick or something, because there's no way that Steve Kerr is going to play Corey Joseph for 15 minutes when he's not being productive whatsoever, and not play players he knows could at least have a better shot at doing something, like Moses Moody, like JK. The same thing happened with him yesterday, where Jonathan Kuminga was playing great. He was having such an impact, and we haven't seen exactly what I wanted to see from him this season, but that's okay. The games that he does show up, like, I don't understand why you're not playing him and you're putting in a small guard who has no offensive ability like Corey Joseph. It just doesn't make sense. And I don't know. I'm just frustrated with that. So I 100% agree.
I think Kerr's reasoning for playing Joseph is nothing more than he's a veteran player that doesn't turn the ball over. And I feel like for him, he thinks that by playing Corey, he can basically be the ball handler who's not going to make the mistakes and keep them, there. The issue with that is Corey Joseph is not an offensive threat. When he does turn the ball over, they're pretty bad turnovers, and he's not giving you like an overwhelming positive. He's just a mid guy that just comes in, plays okay, and that's fine. But when you have the ceiling of a Moody or a Kuminga in the game, and they're actually being productive, he shouldn't see minutes over them. I don't see how that makes much sense, especially when like you have Steph in the game. To me, Corey Joseph and Steph should have limited run, if any at all, together, because when Corey Joseph's in the game, why is he ball handling over Steph Curry? I don't like how that fits.
Great point. And I understand Steph's getting older, but then you change up his minutes. I mean, Steve's always played him, he'll play him the first 8 of the first and then the last 6 of the second. Like he plays him his typical minutes or whatever. But if we needed to change that because of what we're working with and the lack of playmakers that we have currently with Chris Paul out, then I say switch it up. We have nothing to lose, and the deeper we get into this like hole and these losses that should have been wins and can't convert, I think I think it's just gonna really take the spirit out of this team, so I don't know at this point. But I want to say I posted on Twitter something about Chris Paul. I think it was after the only win we had this week after the second game against the Clippers that we won. I said, oh, maybe Chris Paul's the problem. And obviously I didn't mean that, because we are feeling his absence right now a ton. But at the same time, we've actually been okay without him. So how crucial, now that we've had a little bit of a span without Chris Paul, do you think he is to this team? Or could we go and get somebody that can fill his role as well as add offensively?
All right, so to Haley in chat, here's my take on this, right? I said this coming in. To me, I felt like we were not a tier 1 team coming into the season. I felt like this was a year to basically further develop the younger players, see what they can do, and then on paper, you think Chris Paul will basically make the bench better and be another ball handler who can like make competent choices with the basketball to find Steph and Klay in the time that he plays, or if not, just enhance the bench unit and put Kuminga and Moody in the great positions to have success, right? A lot of people didn't think that B-Pods would be a rotational player year 1, right?
Yeah.
He is. And the problem is that as good of a player as Chris Paul can be sometimes, the way that he slows down the pace is like a double-edged sword. It's good for when the pace has to slow down and we turn the ball over less, but we're also not maximizing our possessions. A huge part of why we went up for a lot of these leads is we're out in transition. We're finding great shots. It's quick up and down, up and down, up and down pace, and it's not all the way slowed down. And it's kind of funny because when we're playing at that pace, we've actually turned the ball over less than like the half court stuff, which is odd, very, very odd to me. But I think with Chris Paul, he's a guy that they wanted to get on this roster specifically to get off of Jordan Poole's contract. So contractually, he's here. He's also a veteran player, all-star, and Steph, Klay, and Draymond were okay with playing with him. So that's why he's on the roster.
Right.
I think if you can improve by making a big piece join the team because of Chris Paul's salary, and you have to like add in picks and maybe some of the young players, you do it. I think that makes sense to do, but it has to be the right player. Because ultimately, I don't believe in trading Chris Paul or any player on this team for a marginal move at best that somewhat makes you better. Like trading Klay Thompson for Zach LaVine to me is not making you much better because you still don't have defense, you still don't have size, and you lose Klay's shooting for Zach LaVine, who isn't like all the way going to run off the ball like Klay. So it's going to be like a different dynamic. So that to me just doesn't make sense long term. They're looking for some type of move that can make them better now, but also pay dividends in year 2 or 3.
Yes, I agree. Which brings us to the title. I said this trade could change everything. And there's been a lot floating around. Yes, Zach LaVine is one that we've already talked about. So is Lauri Markkanen. Like there's kind of a lot, but this is the one that seems to be catching the eyes of a lot of people. Chat, you guys can try and guess or lay out who you think could be that pick. But overall, the one that I've seen floating around is Pascal Siakam. Now, I've seen a few players kind of roped into what that trade would look like. Would it be Wiggins? Would it be Klay? Would it be Kuminga? And again, I'm not at a point where I'm okay with saying I think the Warriors would trade Klay. I understand that he hasn't been the best, but he also hasn't been the worst. And it seems like he's finding a rhythm. It's not really his rhythm, but he's adding to what we need to be done. Kuminga is another one where it's like, do we sacrifice what could be such a high ceiling and something so different for the Warriors and a bigger, physical, athletic player? And then, of course, Wiggins, who he is the second best player in our championship team, but he hasn't been good this season. Does he even have the trade value to trade right now? Are people going to go off what he was versus what he is? So yeah, is that a trade that's appealing to you? I just was checking out his contract, and it looks like he had that four-year, $136 million contract. He is in that 4th year this season. So is that something that's appealing to Golden State as of right now, in your opinion?
So the trade package you said was Wiggins, Kuminga, and some picks, I think, for
That's
Pascal?
one. That's
okay.
one. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel a way about this because as good of a player as Pascal is, and again, I would say that he should be on the list of guys we should probably trade for if we can. The problem is Pascal's spacing is still going to be iffy. Now, if you're saying Looney's not going to play and you put Pascal at the 5 with Draymond, which he's had to play 5 before in the past, that makes sense. That's more of a defensive unit. So, like, if you did that, you'd have what? You have Steph, you have Klay, you have Draymond, you have Pascal. Who's the 5th guy? Are we thinking Moody here?
I mean, I would like to see it. I doubt that's something. I don't know if I see. Does Moody trump Kuminga as of right now in Kerr's book? In my book, yes, but in Kerr's book, what's he gonna go with if that's who we have on the floor? Is he gonna go with a bigger? I don't know.
I think Moses Moody has been a better fit to this roster in terms of the consistency he's brought in on a night-to-night basis. Also, the spacing and the rebounding, I think, give him the edge. But Kuminga has the higher ceiling as a player. So that's what makes it kind of like, hard to gauge. I also just don't think that that move is good enough to make us be competitive, because you lose what Andrew Wiggins could be, even though he hasn't been that so far.
Yeah.
But at the same time, Pascal just fits our defense a lot better than Wiggins at this current stage. So that's something that I'm eyeing. I don't know if that's like my number one guy I'd want to get back though. But Pascal's been very good. But fitting on the Warriors specifically, I mean, his athleticism with those spacers and Draymond defensively, you can see that lineup have some success. I just question his spacing with Draymond.
Yeah.
But Draymond's actually shooting the ball this year, which is a huge
Yeah.
thing for us. He's
Yeah,
he's
he's been
actually shooting
amazing.
the three this year. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, he's progressive. I mean, last season he had the best, what was it, 3-point percentage since 2016, and I think hopefully that's going to up this season. Again, I don't know how much of a difference that's going to make, but yeah, and you guys will have you guys up to bring your trade propositions or anybody you've seen kind of on the horizon or talked about later on, but that is one that is a lot more appealing and makes sense. Again, you're kind of sold on the Lauri Markkanen trade. Is that something you still think is possible? I've seen on Twitter people saying like the Jazz would be open to it. I don't know who that's coming from. Like, obviously, it could just be rumors, but yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of the Lauri Markkanen trade, where I'm at with it is it's all dependent, obviously, on what the Jazz want to do. I'm just thinking logically. Lauri Markkanen has not played, I think, like the last 4 to 5 games. The Jazz are starting to slide back towards the bottom. I think he
Oh,
is the ultimate piece that they would move off of, because again, he has 1 year left on his contract, so he's pretty much a expiring contract. If the Jazz keep him, they would have to pay him or flip him to get more value back. Now, in my opinion, people view the Jazz as saying they want to build around Lauri Markkanen. But again, people have to remember when they traded for Lauri Markkanen, it was not because Lauri was the best player in the trade. They believed that we need to make this trade for the draft capital. We get him back as a piece. We get back Colin Sexton as a piece. That
yeah.
could be something there. And the salary filler made sense for Lauri. And instead, he played at such a high level. It's like, oh, he's clearly the best player. Let's get him some role. And now he's made a all-star game and plays at such a high level. So his value should be high enough to where, okay, if we trade him, we get our picks, we get more value back, and we make our team better that way. Now, you could argue because Lauri's so good, you try to keep him and you see what can happen. But ultimately, if you're not going to pay Lauri, what's the point in keeping him on your roster this season? That's where I'm at.
Right. And is that a fair, trade off for him as well? Like he's still young and in his prime, so let him make an impact and build his career for sure. So yeah, I mean, we'll keep an eye on that. I just when do you think that would happen? Would that be at the trade deadline? Would that be after? Would that be next season? Like, what do you think that timeline is? And I asked this last week, but like
Yeah.
what do you think is going through Mike Dunleavy's head? Is this like, oh, this is all part of the plan? We knew we were gonna kind of just have a rough season, or do you think they're going to try to make some moves?
So I think the Warriors thought that they could be in like the 3rd to 4th seed range because they could
Yeah,
just be really competitive and just beat teams, which is, I guess, a fair thought. I said coming in that their peak and their ceiling could be that, but
yeah,
I more so said like they'll be near like the 6 or 7 seed
I remember
based
that. Yeah,
on injuries and just the roster limitations. But I don't
yeah,
think anyone would predict that Andrew Wiggins would have such a slow start on both ends to the season as he's had, right? I mean, that hasn't really been there. Chris Paul has had more chemistry with Dario Saric than any other bench player. I'm pretty sure
facts.
they thought that Chris Paul and Kuminga would be some type of tandem. We haven't really seen that yet. So there's a lot of unknown, and I don't think that the sample size of games that we've seen so far would make them want to make a trade just yet. I think they still believe that if you give this team just more time together, they can figure things out.
Yeah,
Guys in the locker room are all talking like they believe in this team. They still think they can do some things. So I think the timeline for all this stuff is really going to be mid-January to late February. During that stretch, how we are matters, and also our strength of schedule gets way easier as the year progresses as well. So they're going to
Right.
start winning more games.
I do remember you mentioning that because so far I think we've had one of the toughest schedules up until this point. Um, in-season tournament was also something we had, a tough matchup in the Kings, I would say.
Yeah.
So that's a really good point. A lot of people don't think the season starts till after All-Star anyway, so that's when people are really going to be paying attention. But my only concern is what we're 9-11 right now. We're 11th in the West. We'll
Yep.
take a look at the schedule in a bit, touch on some of your guys' teams as well. But I think it's just because we're settling into a new era for Golden State, right? Where we have gotten so spoiled and so used to just such a dominant team in the West and in over the entire league that now seeing the struggle, seeing Steph have to step into some new roles, seeing our stars be injured or out consistently, it's definitely tough. But it's also like this is what this next chapter is going to look like. And again, it's going to be kind of okay, two different roads. Are we gonna head into that rebuild? A lot of guys in the chat are saying, "Oh, the Warriors need to rebuild." Well, like, what? I mean, we can take a look back at different dynasties. If you don't think the Warriors are a dynasty, that's your opinion. Whatever. I would consider it a dynasty. Maybe it's over now, but how have other dynasties like the Bulls, like the Spurs, how have they ended? And is this kind of like that era for us?
Yeah, it's kind of rough because unlike those eras, there's so much talent in the NBA and
Yeah,
there's so much parity to where like multiple teams can contend. And right now, Golden State is the team that is only getting older and their, athleticism and their talent more the league is starting to catch up to. So most teams
yeah,
that win go through this. I agree with 49ers fan. This isn't like a newer thing.
yeah.
Steph is still playing at a high level, but even this season, his floor game hasn't been as good as it's been last year, even though his shooting is pretty much identical. So
Yeah,
mastering what's left of the Steph window to me has to be the focus. If it's not the focus, then you might as well start rebuilding now because all of these younger teams, the Pelicans, the Clippers, the Grizzlies, who are gonna get a high draft pick after this season because they're probably not gonna make the playoffs. Like
yeah.
Oklahoma City Thunder, right? Like there's a ton of teams that just have more athletes, more size and skill than what Golden State has. My thing is, for all the people who say that they have nothing to trade, I think what it comes down to is the draft capital for the Warriors is going to be very valuable because a lot of
Yeah,
teams are expecting this team in the next 4 to 5 years to bottom out. So
100%.
those picks are going to be 100% valuable, and they have the salary from Chris Paul's contract, from potentially a Klay Thompson expiring or a Andrew Wiggins to make a move. The question is, are the other teams going to look at them and say, we want those pieces? Maybe not, but the picks are absolutely a asset that teams will want. I do believe that.
So speaking of picks, this is what we're looking at over the next 5 years. Next season we have one first round and then a second round. Well, I don't know. And then 2026 we have one first round. We don't have a lot of picks in comparison to other teams, but we definitely have some draft capital, which kind of makes me look at Brandon's chat, which is why I kept it up on the screen. He said the Warriors fucked up drafting Kaminga and Wiseman, and this is something we haven't talked about, right? We
Right.
we saw the Warriors really capitalize with drafting Klay, Dre, and Steph, the longest tenured trio in the league. But over the last 10 seasons, our drafting has just been
Not been
kind of
great.
abysmal. Yeah, I mean, there's other
Yeah.
teams that are worse, but we're definitely not at the peak of where we could have been. And so talk to me about A Wiseman, right? That was a whole mess. Dude barely played. Getting rid of him, I agreed with. I think moving off of Wise was the best thing for him. It was fair for his career, but it was also the right thing for the Dubs. But then again, Kaminga, what did he go? Like seventh or eighth
Yeah.
in a pretty great draft class, and yet we are not using him to the fullest potential. So what do you think about that? Do you agree with Brandon as far as that goes?
Yeah. So for me, when it comes down to the Wiseman pick. What made the Wiseman pick tough is Klay Thompson tore his Achilles like days, like literally a day before the draft, I'm pretty sure, right? So
Yeah, it
then
was.
they didn't know exactly what to do and who to pick because of that. So they wound up choosing Wiseman because they thought, okay, he has movement on his feet. He could potentially be like a 3 and D big man. But the problem is he just didn't have the sample size in college to prove how good he could be. He lacked the IQ in certain spots defensively. And his route to the NBA is unlike a lot of people's because he came in hurt.
Yeah.
It was COVID, so like there was a lot going on with that stuff.
Yep.
He missed a ton of games throughout his first 3 years, and they threw him into the fire early in his rookie season. So that was rough. Me personally, I thought they would have drafted LaMelo, and I thought that would have made sense because you add like a 6'8" guard that can pass to a team that is currently getting older. He might have to come off the bench at first, sure, but the skill is there, the ball handling is there. And with no Klay, he could get those reps as a guard until Klay comes back. Like, I thought LaMelo was going to be our Jordan Poole before Poole turned into what he did. I thought he would have fit
Mm.
better. But,
Hmm.
tough.
Yeah, I like that. I've seen that floating around, especially with shout out to LaMelo, he was hooping, and then yet another injury. So I think we kind of we did the right thing now, kind of looking at what he's turned out to be. But chat, what do you guys think about that? Like, are there any draft picks that we passed up that you wish we had gone for that you think could have maybe changed it? Because when I think about LaMelo, I question if he would have fit in our system because of how our system's built. And I think we're seeing that now where we might have to like deconstruct how we've always played because
Mm-hmm.
like you already said, teams have figured out and kind of emulated how the Warriors play basketball. It worked for a while, but now the league has just changed and caught up. But B, Steph, Clay, and Draymond, who the system was primarily built around, they're not the same players, and now we're trying to integrate these new guys, and I just think I think we have to just deconstruct a lot of that. But what so yeah, you guys let me know if you think we should have drafted LaMelo, if
Well,
there's somebody
100%
else.
Franz Wagner. Franz Wagner was a big miss. The chat's right about
Oh,
that.
y'all could have had
Franz would have been
Franz.
really good
Yeah,
for us. Yeah.
great point. Yeah,
He would have
he's
been a
just been
huge player for
incredible.
us. Yeah.
Yeah, and speaking of, this is kind of random, but I have a buddy who he kind of works with the Magic team and gets to go a lot, and sent me a video on Jordan Poole, and I was like, give me the update. Like, what was Jordan like playing against the Magic? How did he seem? And from what he told me, he said Jordan just seems so out of sorts. He said he's not really
Yeah.
talking to his teammates. And this isn't to paint Jordan in a bad light. I think he's going through it. And I wonder what that transition from a championship team, literally winning a chip in your what was it, his second season, like his second real season in the league. I know he bounced back and forth from the G League, but to now being with the Wizards, who are they're literally the poverty franchise in the league.
It's
Um,
rough.
but it is sad. Do you think Jordan? I mean, I still have so much love for him, and I miss him. Do you think he's going to bounce back, or is he going to be what people are saying he's going to be? Oh, he's always going to be maybe coming off the bench or this and that.
I think for Jordan Poole, he's a player that, again, when everything is clicking for him, he has a very high ceiling. I think for him, he just has to like slow the game down and not get in his own way. I think he has a lot of time for the Wizards to figure things out because that franchise isn't going anywhere. So there's time for him to like play through his mistakes and really like mature his game further. I'm not too worried about Poole, even though he does look pretty bad right now. Like
Yeah,
objectively, I think he's played like easily one of the worst players in the league, but it's
yeah,
still super early into the game. His
yeah,
shooting has been very bad, by the way, like really, really bad. But I mean,
yeah,
I feel like the shot diet hasn't been helped based on his current type of situation. It's just tough. And like that's a part of the game. I mean, when you go to like a bad team, you get the bulk of the shots, sure, but now it's like all the things that you got away with now are on full display now that you have different defenses guarding you in different
yeah,
types of ways. So
Yeah.
He's struggling, but I do think he'll probably be a better version of himself this year. I don't know what that looks like, but I don't think he's this bad of a player.
This might be a dumb question, but you might know. Um, do you think there's any difference between playing in the Western Conference versus the Eastern Conference? Aside from postseason, obviously, but like, do you typically play more in your own conference as the season goes, or is it pretty much
Yeah.
50-50? I just
No.
wonder what that transition is like, and if players have said like, "Oh, this is more difficult than the other."
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that you play in your own conference more because you play those guys like maybe twice or three times a year. There's some teams in the West that if you're in the East, you only play once or twice a year, and that's it, period. Some teams you play
Mm,
four times in the same conference. So a lot
yeah.
of his opponents are more Eastern based.
Okay. And then somebody said the time difference too can be weird.
Yeah,
Um,
sure.
Okay, and then sports game vision. I mean, I think this would be crazy, but what about Haliburton? Like, yeah, that's a good point because
Halliburton would have been so
Haliburton.
good for this team,
Oh
dude.
my god, I get stop right now because you saw that clip where he was like, "I want to win. Like, I'm tired of just being okay. Like, I want to
Yeah.
win on a high level." Like for Haliburton, like what do you think his future is gonna be? Like, obviously he's balling out, but do the Pacers move off him? I don't even know what his contract looks like. I guess I can look it up and see if that's even a possibility. It probably wouldn't be to us, but yeah.
I love that you're bringing up Tyrese Haliburton because I'm doing a film breakdown of him and the Pacers, like right after this, near maybe 6 o'clock. Tyrese is a great player. From the film that I've seen, the way that he breaks down the defenses, finds his teammates. I mean, the numbers look gaudy, sure, but he's really getting it in the rhythm of the game. He makes the right choices. He barely turns the ball over. He's been playing at an absurdly high level. And also, I'm pretty sure on the season, he's still 50, 40, 90, which is crazy. Like, that's extremely hard to shoot 50% from the field as a guard. That's
Mhm.
extremely hard to do. And he's doing it right now.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been I mean, it's weird too because I see like almost an aversion from a lot of
Yeah.
people to like give him props, which is yeah, I get it. He's not the flashiest player, but like the biggest criticism I hear
Oh,
is
no,
like,
he's
"Oh,
very flashy to me.
well,
He is extremely
especially
flashy
this
to me.
season, but like, you know, some people value like the 3-point shot. They love to see players shooting threes, or they love to see just a dynamic bag or whatever. But that's what
That's
Halliburton
him.
has.
He got
Yeah, that's what I'm
right.
saying. Like,
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I don't really understand why people don't want to give him credit. They love Fox, they love Shea, but yeah, I think he's been great this season. So I mean, I don't think we're gonna get him, but that would be
No.
great if we could. I wouldn't lie.
I think a big part of that though is because Shea Gilgeous, right? Like
Yeah,
last year, he had a humongous season. He made All NBA. Now OKC in the Western Conference
yeah,
is dominating, and they have Chet. Like there's more names that pop, and that's why Shea's more popular.
yeah,
Tyrese Halliburton came from the Kings. He's playing for the Pacers. A lot of people don't watch the Pacers as a team play basketball because they're just not a huge draw.
yeah,
And then even
yeah,
though he was great last year, he got hurt for the majority of the season. So his hype wasn't going to be as big as it is now. So those are
right,
like the main reasons. And those are
yeah,
two teams in the West. Fox just had a huge playoff moment. He finally got that Kings team to the playoffs, and he continues to play at a high level. People are going to value those guys more than Tyrese in terms of overall watchability. Like I would rather watch the Kings play basketball overall than the Pacers, but
yeah,
Tyrese is
100%.
changing that based off how he's playing because they're literally like almost the best offensive team in basketball right now. It's kind of crazy what they can do.
Isn't it weird? I was thinking about this, and then we'll get into in-season tournament bracket. But
Yeah.
isn't it interesting how like every single team in the league right now has a big name on it. Like a name that's like, oh, this actually draws attraction. Even the Wizards, like you might not consider Jordan Poole a big name as of right now, but like initially that's the reason I went to watch. Like, oh, Kuz and Poole, that sounds like a fun, duo.
Hmm.
Um even the Hornets, the Spurs, like I can't think of is there one team where you're like, okay, this is a team where like I don't really hear the hype. Even like the Pistons, it's like, well, you're in Detroit, right? So I don't
I
know if
am. Yeah.
I don't know if you want to like go into that at all because the Monty incident and apparently he's not playing. Who is it? Jaden Ivey or
Yeah.
is that
He's
who they've been freaking out about? Or
Yeah.
yeah,
So He's made Jaden Ivey a bench player for Killian
Right.
Hayes.
Okay.
He just benched Asor Thompson, and they've lost, I'm pretty
Oh,
sure, 15 games in a row. So rough.
yeah. RIP. But I mean, I didn't expect too much more. I did expect them to be a great defensive team, but I didn't expect much more than that. So,
Right.
okay. Let's see, Lloyd. What'd you say? Memphis right now. They got no jaw. I did make a
Memphis right
video
now
on
is a
this.
good sign. Yeah.
Great point. Great point. That is one team without jaw. Although he'll be back in just a week or so. Every team has a star. I mean, I wouldn't say every team has had a star player though. I mean, I guess, but I think there's points where like the star is injured, so maybe we just don't see that. Okay, so in season tournament brackets, we're gonna go through this. We'll start in the West. In chat, you make sure to get on board with this. Let's start with the Lakers Suns. This is gonna be one of my favorite matchups. I think it's gonna be good. I feel like they're kind of even keel. Like I feel like they will possibly see each other in the postseason. So this might be a little bit of a debut for that. But yeah, Lakers are one in the bracket. So who are you taking between LA and Phoenix?
Oh, I'm probably gonna go with LA because the Suns are not a complete team still. By the way, shout out to the Suns because they just found ways to win.
They
No
have.
KD, we still win. No Bradley Beal, we still win. No Booker. They always have one of those three guys somehow, some way. But
Mhm.
I feel like the Lakers are finally getting healthy.
Yeah.
They have Vanderbilt back now with Rui. I think the defensive identity of that team is going to start to come together as we get closer and closer to the trade
Mhm.
deadline. I think that they can beat the Suns in a single elimination game, but I mean, really anyone can get it. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
I'm leaning Lakers, to be honest.
I am going to take the Lakers as well.
Yes, sir.
I think the Suns, I don't know, like in high pressure situations, we've seen them falter, and they're just not at full capacity right now. So that's something that's not in their favor, obviously. And like you said, I think the Lakers are starting to find their rhythm. But again, we also see AD be inconsistent. LeBron's getting older, so we'll see. But I'm riding with the Lakers in this one. So do they play 4 games as well, or does it go? How does the second round work?
Yeah, so now it's single elimination. So basically, if the Lakers beat the Suns are out of the tournament, and the Lakers transition to the further ends of the tournament. So we'll
Okay.
be watching the quarterfinals, and then from there it goes quarterfinals to semifinals, and then the actual championship, which
Okay.
the final 4 teams make it, and they go to Vegas. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Second up, we've got your team, Sacramento Kings, versus the New
my team.
Orleans Pelicans. Which is an interesting matchup. I feel like most people are
Yeah.
gonna say the Kings, but don't you know how I feel about Brandon Ingram and the Pelicans. So who you got? Who you got?
So I think this game is going to be a lot more competitive than people realize because Pelicans haven't been healthy all year long. Trey Murphy on his way back.
Mhm.
Zion is waking up. He had a game where he only missed one shot. Really, he was perfect for the entire game.
Yeah.
But after the game, they went back and said he missed one shot. Fine. But Zion is finally playing to the level that I thought he could play.
Yeah.
And if he's doing that with their defense in their certain lineups, they can have a ton of success. Ingram is making the step to make the Zion fit work better than he has before in the past.
Yeah.
So I think that team could be very, very dangerous. But the Kings, I mean, they've just had a consistent machine, and Fox has been on a tear. I mean, he had 40 points the other night. He had like
Yeah.
16 assists, I think, versus Denver last night. I mean, he just plays at such a different pace, and a lot of teams just cannot keep up with that Kings pace. So I'm a
Yeah.
lean Kings, but to be fair, I saw this Pelicans team dominate the Kings weeks ago.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah, it's I'm gonna take Pelicans. Just I think the Kings could run away with it just because they have a little bit more familiarity with each other. They've been together through some, big moments. Pelicans are still well, Herb's still out, right? So I mean that could be a loss, but I'll ride with the Pelicans on this one. And
yeah,
then moving to the East, we've got we've got the Pacers Celtics,
that's gonna
which
be a fun game. That's gonna
that's
be a
gonna
very
be
fun game.
I'm
Yeah,
just saying, don't sleep
that's
on
gonna
the
be a good game.
Celtics. Don't sleep on the Pacers. Are you
No.
gonna ride with the Celtics, or you think the Pacers could upset?
Who? Okay, so the Celtics, by the way, y'all, because I've been watching these games, right? So the Celtics put up 155 points and the Kings put up 104. The difference in that game was there was no Tyrese Haliburton. This
Mhm.
offense has been humming to a T. I think there's some people that are injured for the Celtics. I'm pretty sure Porzingis is still not playing basketball right now. Last I checked, he was actually back home in Latvia right now.
Fire.
So
W.
yeah, yeah. So I feel like without Porzingis, it's going to be a much tougher battle, and
Yep.
I think the Pacers can actually surprise this Boston team. Both teams can score,
Yeah.
but I think the Pacers have such a great and unique pace, and I think the pace is going to be the difference. So I'm gonna lean Pacers.
I like that. I think what's the deal with Jaylen Brown? Like, people are clowning him, but
Yeah,
is it rightfully so? Do you think he's gonna kind of like wake over the season as the postseason gets near? Do you think he's gonna kind of be his former self?
I'm gonna be real. Jaylen Brown is a very polarizing player for me because I acknowledge his talent and what he can do, but I think the floor of it is pretty bad considering he doesn't have a great ball handle. He takes a ton of questionable shots. Sometimes he has a lot of tunnel vision trying to get
Yeah.
to the rim.
Yeah,
And I
he
said
does.
this year for Boston coming in, right? If you think about their top five and don't go off a name, Jaylen Brown is their most inconsistent defender and 3-point shooter. That's right. Derek White, more
Yeah.
consistent in both of those avenues. Drew Holiday, more consistent in both of those avenues. Jason Tatum and Porzingis, they speak for themselves. So I think Jaylen Brown is the biggest X factor for the Celtics to have success. And also, he's the highest paid guy on the team right now. So
Yeah, I
people
know.
are wanting to see him take that leap to play winning basketball because we've
Yeah.
seen him do it and they've had a ton of success with Jaylen Brown. So
Yeah.
this is the year where Boston has to put it all together and win because they paid him this money. They traded for Drew Holiday. They traded for Chris Porzingis. This is the most talented offensive squad they've had in some years. It's on
Mhm.
Tatum and Brown to figure it out, especially
Yeah.
Jaylen Brown to me, because what he did versus the Heat was very bad. That was a very bad series for him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big JB fan, and of course, my contract curse theory is always proven true, where a player gets paid and then they kind of take a step back. But I'm not
Be
out
like
on him
that.
for sure. Yeah, we just see that all the time. How much is Jalen making again? What was it like
300 million.
300 mil? So yeah, he's the highest paid player in the league right as of right now, right? Like that.
I think someone overtook him. It might be
Oh,
Tyrese now.
you're right. Somebody did
It
just. I
might be
think you're right.
Tyrese.
I
I
think you're
forget.
right.
I forget who. I forget
Yeah,
who.
but he's up there, and still Tatum's gonna get his next contract soon, so not per year, it's all split up over, I think, 6 years, right?
Like 5 years or
5 or
something.
6,
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh
So, yeah, we'll see about that, and then our final matchup, which should be fun, is the Milwaukee Bucks and the New York Knicks.
oh, give me the
Thoughts
Knicks,
there?
man. Give me the Knicks, man.
Really? Easy.
Yes.
'Cause they play
Jalen
defense?
Brunson has been playing excellent basketball, and like
Yeah,
you said, that Bucks defense is so sus. They find ways to win games somehow, but I'm just
yeah,
not moved by them. Chris Middleton has been in and out of the lineup all year long. He's had a bunch of injury stuff going on. I
yeah.
just like what Brunson brings to the Knicks, and I think that they're going to beat them in the single game. I do believe that.
I think so too, because not only does Brunson close better than anyone on the Bucks can, at least over the last season, but the Bucks, yeah, they've been what I expected. I didn't think the Bucks were gonna go to the finals this season. I know a lot of people were like, they have to, or they trade God Dame for nothing. But I think that it's gonna take them a while to kind of find their rhythm and find their defense. So,
Yeah.
um,
And like so like they're under pressure to win this season for sure. But I think the point of the Dame trade is to like establish, okay, we now have a roster that's led by Dame and Giannis.
yeah,
Let's try to get these pieces around them that make sense. But
yeah.
that roster is also aging rapidly around them. How many years does Brook Lopez have elite level of play left? I don't know.
Maybe I don't know. What is he like 36 now? Like
Yeah,
he's no young man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another good point is I think it was to kind of establish with Giannis, like, we've got you. We're willing to make a move for you, because otherwise I think
Exactly.
he was gonna dip out or be very upset, be disgruntled, as they like to call it. So, yeah. So chat, who do you guys have in that game? I'm gonna take the Bucks because I'm the biggest Dame fan. I have seen him in clutch time, and boy can shoot in high pressure minutes. So
Fair.
I think that could be fun. But yeah, the Bucks have been pretty bad. So I'm here for the next win. Yeah. Okay, so I want to break down sort of the Western Conference. I'm going to put the link in the chat for you
It's a
guys.
crazy Western Conference right now too. Yeah.
It is wild. Some teams definitely deserve a
Oh yeah.
standing ovation. Some teams deserve a little bit of trash talk. So I'm going to post this if you guys want to come on and share your thoughts about the in-season tournament, about your team, about the Dubs. Feel free to come through. I'm going to post that there. And then, yes, we'll take a look at the NBA Western Conference, and
Fair.
then we can look at the Eastern Conference too. But not super surprising. You have called this gifted, where you said the Timberwolves were going to be pretty much
I
great
said it
this
early,
season.
man.
You did. You called that one, and they are still on top of the Western Conference. We do have OKC at 2, so we're kind of seeing like the growth of a new team of the future. The future is leading the conference right now with, we've got Ant and Cat on at first seed. We've got Shea, Giddey, and the guys with OKC. Shout out to Lou Dort, man. He is a goat. We've got the Nuggets at 3. Is that surprising to you at all, Gifted?
No, they've had no Jamal Murray for some time now. They've lost to a couple teams that they still could beat, but they just were unable to beat. Some bad losses here or there, but I still think they're a very potent team. Jokic is still playing like the best player in the league right now. He's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
So
he is.
I'm not really like moved. I'm not surprised. I think they're going to be a team that has home court advantage regardless, even if they're not the 1 seed. So
Yeah.
it makes sense to me.
Yeah, like you said, with Jamal out for that little stint, it makes sense. And then we have the Kings at 4. So they were high up in the conference last season. They're still leading up top in the conference this season. What do you see for them as far as postseason goes? Do you think they could make it to the second round this season?
I talking about the Kings.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, okay. So I think the matchup matters a lot for the Kings, but I think the thing that people really underrate is Golden State was able to make the Kings feel the way they felt because A, both teams shot kind of bad in the series, but B, Draymond was blowing up a ton of actions and they had Draymond and Looney to make Sabonis feel pressured and uncomfortable. Fox and Monk were still really good for the majority of the series. I think the matchup is so crucial. Like right now, if they had to match up in the playoffs, who would they be playing right now?
Kings?
Suns.
Yeah, they'd be
Suns.
playing the Suns. Yeah, 4 and
See?
5.
And
I
listen,
don't know.
you remember this, right? Me and KB had an argument about who could win between the Kings and the Suns, and
Yeah.
I still think that is a topic that is there for debate because both teams have great spacing, but I think the Kings just have Fox, who's just a blur, who can blow by anybody on that Kings roster, and they have Sabonis, who on the interior can also give the Suns problem. But on the other end, you have Devin Booker, who's been very good this season as well.
Yeah.
And you have Kevin Durant. And I don't know what to say about Bradley Beal because he hasn't played basketball that much. So I don't know. But that's a very competitive thing. That's why wins matter so much right now, to your point, because the seeding of who you're gonna play matters. Because literally, if the Kings win one more game, they're playing Dallas in the first round and not the Suns, right? Like that's how crucial that is.
Yeah, which would be absolutely fire. Ken, I'm gonna bring you up now and let you share your thoughts, and then we'll keep working through this. What's up, Ken?
Yeah, salute everybody.
Hey.
Yeah, my takes on the Warriors this season, I think they're just a mediocre team. I think that they're not consistent, bro. I think Draymond hurts his team more than he helps them because he doesn't play up to the Warriors need another star alongside Curry because Curry been averaging 30. He's been their best player, obviously, and You had Klay, who has an up and down season. Wiggins, who had an up and down, who hasn't been having a consistent season. So the Warriors just need another star. I think I still think they can make the playoffs, but I think that at best they're second round exit at best.
Hmm. So talk to me about your kind of your Draymond take. Why do you think he makes us worse?
No, I don't think think he makes y'all worse, but I think he hurts y'all more than he help y'all because when you getting suspended and you're fighting other teams' players, I think you just distracting. He's a distraction to the team
Mm,
because when Draymond's at his best is when he's on the floor. When
yeah.
Draymond's not on the floor for the Warriors, he can't help the Warriors. That's why I think he needs to be on the floor and actually stay on the floor and not get suspended, not get these silly technical fouls because he can't control his emotion. Understand he's an emotional player, but bro, if you're not on the floor to like play with your emotions to help your teammates, bro, then you're no impact to your team. So you need
Mhm.
to stay on the floor and help your team out.
Yeah, it's a good point. You know what's interesting is like we were winning games until that kind of situation against the Timberwolves happened, and ever since we've kind of imploded. Again, our schedule was a bit easier up until that point, so maybe that's part of the reason why. And then of course we've had injuries, but I'm on the other end. I understand it, like Draymond off court antics or like, all the emotional stuff is really frustrating. But at the same time, that's just what comes with Draymond. We've lost championship rings because of Draymond. So at this point, I feel like we're used to it. But what would you say? Like, do you think trade him? Do you think sit down with him and have a real talk? Like, what do you do in that situation?
I mean, y'all gonna do what y'all always do with Draymond. Y'all just gonna let Draymond be Draymond, bro. So
Yeah.
y'all just gonna let him be himself and see what I'm interested to see is what happens after the season if y'all don't win the championship. Are you gonna run it back again? Or are you gonna make a little adjustments? Because like so far, so like what I'm watching from the Chris Paul experiment, Chris Paul hasn't been having he hasn't been playing bad, but he hasn't been having a big enough impact to say, all right, this is the difference maker from last season to this season that makes the Warriors better. The Warriors are trying to get better. The Warriors tried to get better from making that Chris Paul trade, and I wouldn't say y'all got major like I got better, but it's not a big enough gap to say, all right, the Warriors on the same tier as Denver or the Timberwolves or even Boston or Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Y'all still in the middle pack of the Western Conference Finals because of that trade. So until like they make a big splash, like a let's say like a Pascal Siakam or like a OG Anunoby,
Mhm.
somebody to actually improve this team, because I think the Warriors lack a lot of size because they're giving up 50 plus points in the paint to other teams, and that's not you're not gonna win much games giving up points in the paint to other teams. I think the Warriors are a small team because Looney is the tallest player most of the time. So I think the Warriors should get like a big man to like help protect the paint because like you have Draymond and Looney. I'm not saying those guys can't get it done for you because they did, but I
Yeah.
think they just need a little bit help inside that paint.
Yeah, the only problem is there's just not a lot of bigs, available that would actually fit with the system or that we can afford. And I agree with you on Chris Paul. Like he hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been like that great either. Like we could live without him. But yeah, it's been rough. We're definitely middle of the pack, middle to low of the pack, I think. I don't know.
I got a question. If you had to redo that Jordan Poole and Draymond situation, would you do it again and trade Poole, or would you keep Poole and trade Draymond?
I'm
I would
trading
do the
pool.
same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you'd trade Poole?
Yeah.
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 I would do it because Poole was never a consistent player. He could play well, but the issue is if you trade Draymond, our defense gets significantly worse. And Poole's not like this supernova offensive player that's super consistent to really make that being okay. And we didn't have a guy that could step up in the Draymond role who could provide value like close to what Draymond could do. If we had that player, then okay, maybe that's a conversation to have. But Poole's contract as well is something that would have hamstrung this team. That's why they traded him, because beyond the Draymond piece with the new CBA, once you get locked into these contracts, you cannot aggregate salary, meaning you can't just like add players to your roster. You're basically set until those contracts expire or the season ends. So
Mhm.
under that lens, getting better with Steph Curry is not attainable if you're trading your best defender and the guy who probably has the most chemistry with Steph on the team.
And if
So
what you're saying doesn't prove anything, like Jordan was the most inconsistent player ever. His turnovers were atrocious. We lost so many close games because of him. But at the same time, like we're grateful for what he did in the championship season. Like I only wish him the best, but he wasn't our future like everybody hoped he would be. He wasn't. He wasn't the next Steph Curry or whatever, people like to label him. He
so
might.
what do y'all think that the Warriors what do y'all think the Warriors are missing right now? What do y'all think they need right now to help improve this team?
Yeah, I think the Warriors need to have a more consistent game plan of what they want to accomplish every game. I think the rotations with some of the younger guys has been faltering a lot. I think structurally, from a basketball sense, I also want to see more size and length on the defensive end. I agree with you. I don't think it's more so that like they're like the smallest team ever. I just think the players that they have out there are so small, it makes us look even worse. I mean, having Chris Paul, Gary Payton, and Steph be on the floor at the same time doesn't really make much sense. Just adding another wing that could be like 6'6, 6'7, 6'8, who could shoot. I mean, that type of difference can make a big change for the roster, but it all depends on the guy that you get back. I don't want Zach LaVine because that's another guard who ball handles a whole lot. Pascal or Laurie really move the needle to me because they're guys that can score the ball and be better secondary options on a night-to-night basis than the variance of a Klay Thompson or the variance of an Andrew Wiggins.
And they're just younger too. Like I think y'all need a
Right.
mixture of the youth plus like veteran, like not too young, but they're just in the middle of the pack. They've been in the league long enough where they've been through some playoff series and they're young enough to not been through the bumps and bruises of like Klay. Like Klay has a lot of mileage on him, bro. Like
Yeah.
I'm not saying Klay's not capable of stepping it up and improving, but he been here for a long time, bro, and I think it's starting to catch up to him. It shows because most of these games the Warriors losing is close games. It's close games coming down to the wire, and I think I feel like it's coming out like the team they're losing to is young. It's just teams that's younger than them. Sacramento, they're just younger than them. They're just younger than them. They're beating them with their youth. They're not beating them with really skills and and like and experience. They're just beating them with their youth. They're just younger than them, so they're just running up and down the whole game. So and that wears on you, especially a veteran team like the Warriors. The Warriors are one of the oldest teams in the NBA with their big three with Draymond, Klay, and Curry. So I think they just need some youth, and they also need their young guys to step up. Like Kuminga got to be more
Yeah.
consistent. Moody got to be more consistent on both ends of the floor. So
Yeah.
that's what
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is. But
No.
thank you for letting me up here.
Yeah, of
I
course,
finally
Ken.
got up here.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Sorry about last week. It was just kind of chaos. So I'm glad you could come up this
Yeah.
weekend and share your thoughts. Thanks for coming on. No, something he mentioned, Gifted, that I like is mentioning Klay has a lot of miles on him, and that's so true. And so people have been tearing him up. I know you kind of were on the fence with Klay, and you'd understand if maybe he was let go. I'm not there yet, but I
Oh
think
no,
you
no,
have
no.
to,
Yeah.
or is that
I'm not on the
KB?
side. Yeah. KB wants him gone no matter what, right?
Yeah.
I'm on the side where, okay, what does trading Klay accomplish? Okay, the goal is to become a championship team.
Yeah.
If we're trading Klay for filler because of his contract, that doesn't make us better. And his deal is expiring anyway.
Yes.
So it's like if you're not getting better from the Klay trade, why do it? Like if you're telling me that we're trading Klay, even for Lauri Markkanen, who like I've always said his name, right? I'm thinking structurally. So now the two biggest spacers are Steph and Lauri. Who else is going to step up in that role? And Klay Thompson's ceiling as a shot maker, even though he is an inconsistent player, that has bailed us out of a lot of games. Even in that Clippers game yesterday that we should have won, I don't think you could blame Klay because Klay was hitting big shots even when Steph wasn't on the floor. So to me, like, it's just Klay is at a point where we could tolerate him as a second option because he was more consistent defensively and could, produce better offensively. He was more athletic. He could dunk. He could like roll more. Sure. But now he's reached a point where, okay, the shot is either there or it's not. And defensively, he can't give you the same. So relying on him as the 2 doesn't make sense anymore to me. But on this roster, he can still have value.
I 100% agree. And I think that criticizing him for gassing out in the 4th is
Thank you,
kind of
Zen.
crazy, especially when we have less, we're missing players. Like, guys are having to play more minutes, which isn't good for them because they're getting old. Like, it's just a mess. But Ox, stop hating. we were just giving the Kings credit, so stop hating. I understand that.
What's good with you, Ox?
I understand we're a little delusional, but Ox, if you want to come through, let us know. We'll drop the link. So Zen Master was saying he kind of likes the Klay for LaVine because of the expiring contract. I think the contracts maybe they add up or whatever, but it's just LaVine does not. It's again what you said, Gifted. Like, if we're giving up Klay, which is huge, like the impact that would have on the fan base and on Klay, like that would it has to be so worth it. And LaVine isn't that player where that makes sense. We don't even know if LaVine would work. And honestly, I saw that tweet that said right now, LaVine has no trade. He has no market right now. So why would we go out and get him? Like, that was definitely cold. But like, you're telling me that Caruso and DeMar have more of a market than Zach LaVine right now. I don't think we're gonna go for that one, right? Yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
And like, it's mainly because while the money can match for Zach LaVine, you got to think about salary wise, right? So the reason why they traded Poole outside of the Draymond stuff is the salary that he was making would have locked the Warriors to where they cannot make a move to get better. They would have been like trapped, right? Getting LaVine does the same exact thing, and you're replacing Klay's spacing with Zach's spacing, which Zach is a great shooter. Teams are going to respect him, but he's not going to like draw 2 off the ball like Klay can consistently. And he's more of an on-ball player than an off-ball player. Can he play off-ball? Absolutely. But at best, you're getting a guy that is going to be a way more consistent scorer, sure. But the ceiling of the team, to me, doesn't drastically change by getting Zach LaVine. I don't see it personally.
Yeah, I guess. Somebody said trade for Keegan Murray. I mean, I'm here for it. Okay, so Gifted, we don't play again till Wednesday, right? And we're
a lot of rest. Yeah,
we're playing Portland, and Master, I know you're here too. So chime in here, but this to me is a must-win game. Okay, Portland is no offense, I love them, I do, but they're not a great team. I mean, don't sleep on Jeremy Grant. Don't sleep on them, but if we lose to Portland, I'm officially just counting this season out. I'm so sorry. So I think this is a must-win game. What are your thoughts? Who do you want to see played more? If you're assistant coach and you're meeting with Steve Kerr right now, you're talking game plan, what are you saying? Who do you want to see in the starting lineup? Who do you want to see play more minutes? Who are we sitting more? Like, what are we doing against Portland?
Okay, well, first off, I'm with you from the perspective that we should beat Portland. Portland is a team that should be a team that's beatable. Teams have beaten Portland. The Bucks went down 30 against Portland and somehow still won that game. So we have no excuse to not be able to beat Portland as a team. My main thing is just find more minutes for Moody. Keep making pods aggressive offensively. And this is my difference between my thoughts on the team and KB.
Yeah.
KB loves pods, right? I like pods when he's being aggressive because I've seen too many games where he's not. And it's like, why are you playing? Like, why are we playing another smaller guard that compromises our defense? Respect to pods because he tries, but obviously, like the size, it's only so much he can do. Right. Why are we playing someone that size if he's not going to be aggressive offensively, if he's not going to catch and shoot? He's been doing that. So because of that, he should play. I agree with that. Okay. But Moody needs more minutes. I think he's been a staple for our team. He stepped up very well. He got to the free throw line a lot of times last night versus the Clippers. He's a guy that we need.
Yeah. So I agree with you. I guess for me, I think confidence is a big reason why sometimes pods maybe doesn't have that same aggression because he's barely played. This is his first season. He's a rookie. Like you said, we didn't even expect him to be a rotational player. He is now because of different circumstances. I really like Pods, and I mean, yesterday he had 2 blocks. He's
big.
He defends and he is aggressive and he seems to have extremely high IQ for a rookie. So but of course on the totem pole, I'm probably gonna go Moses Moody, Kuminga, Pods. That's just in my opinion. Maybe you differ, but so if Steve Kerr, we still have no Chris Paul, no GB2. I don't know if Wiggins is gonna be back by Wednesday. I hope so because apparently he slammed his hand in a car door. Which what the heck? Like what the heck?
That hurts, by the way.
Like
That
it
hurts
does,
really
it
bad.
does. I totally get it. You're probably not gonna be able to go out there and shoot the same.
I've been
but
there before. Jesus
yeah,
Christ.
it's been a while since I was like a kid, but yeah, no, like I get it. Just tough circumstances for us, but thanks Tank for the update. I'm excited to watch. But yeah, like how do we kind of combat Ayton? Somebody mentioned him. He might wake up against the Warriors. It might give him a little bit of a purpose to kind of come up big. But what do we do against the Blazers? Are you worried? Like, what do you think our biggest flaw is in a game against them?
Well, our biggest flaw is wing defense and staying with shooters. Portland has an issue with a lot of those things already. Malcolm Brogdon is the guy that I look at beyond Aiden. I don't believe Aiden's gonna beat us. I don't want to get clipped, but that's just how I feel. I don't think Aiden is like that level of player to dominate us with like 35 points, 40 points. Maybe he can, but I think shutting down the team and going at their weaker defenders makes a ton of sense for us to have success in this matchup. That's really what I want to see. I want to see them find Klay getting cuts to the basket because I don't trust their off-ball defense. Get Klay some easy shots going down. And Steph needs to stop this trolling where he's aggressive for a half and then like calms it down. He needs to be in attack mode from the start of the game to the end because doing that generates way better quality looks and gets the team going. We need that.
Yeah. No, I agree. Brogdon's he's been a legend. I kind of wish we'd picked him up, honestly. Like he's been fired. But yeah, I think this is a pretty good schedule. I'm not super concerned. And then is that the last game? Wait. Hold on. I'm looking up the Warriors schedule because then we have a big break, right? So we have the Blazers. Then we play OKC again. Then we play the Suns. Oh, so we don't have a break. Why did I think teams had a break for the in-season tournament?
Well, there's like a mini break, but it's not like a 5 or 6 day break. It's like 2 or 3 days.
They just didn't fill in that part of the schedule because they didn't know who was going to be.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we've got Blazers, OKC, Phoenix, Clippers, Nets, and then Blazers again. And then we've got a bunch of pretty tough teams. We play the Nuggets a bunch. We play the Mavs, Pelicans, Bucks, Grizzlies. So
that's going to be a fun little stretch of games right there.
Right around there. What's crazy is we are playing the Nuggets on Christmas, which we always win on Christmas. We always do. So maybe
we do win on Christmas a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, like we just rise to the occasion. So we'll see how that goes. And you guys let us know in the chat if you have any team you want us to touch on. But yeah, how do you think? Oh, and also I wanted to ask, Gary Payton's injured, obviously. Do you think is he done for the season?
No.
Oh, he's not.
He should be back within, I think, the next 2 weeks. Shams.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So Shams had a tweet saying that he's going to be out for like a longer time.
Definitely.
But then the team, the team had a post saying that it's a strain, so he can actually return to this team this season. Yeah.
I didn't even see that. So that's definitely welcome news for us. And then how about Chris Paul injury update? Do you know much about that?
Chris Paul, we don't know too much about. They're estimating that he might be out for maybe 2 or 3 more games. It shouldn't be as crazy.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Yeah.
And somebody, Georgie said, next month Wiggins is going to accidentally fall down some stairs. Watch.
Oh
I don't
man.
really get the Wiggins hate. Like, I think we need to just chill on that. But yeah, it's been crazy the lack of luck that he's had. The fact we got Houston and Golden State while T-Wolves got Blazers and Spurs is sickening. Yeah, it's been tough. I mean, it is what it is. Sorry, you guys. I'm checking on the game, but
Yeah.
anyways, we'll see what happens there. Any other things that have caught your attention over the last few weeks, whether it's from Golden State, whether it's from another team? Has anyone kind of caught your eye over the last few weeks? I know you mentioned Zion, which shout out to him. It's so good to see him healthy. It's been like
Love it.
it's what we've wanted to see. Let's just hope he can, stay consistent for sure.
I like Zion, man. I watched every Duke game. He was a absolute beast in college, and it's crazy because as good as he's been in the NBA, he's still not like the college Zion that I know, where he was this athletic defender who you had no question about.
Yeah.
He's still trying to find like his spots here or there, but
yeah. Oh, you're muted.
I was muted this whole time. That's
no, just right
crazy.
there. No, you're good.
Okay, yeah. So yeah. Karl Anthony Towns and the Wolves. I gotta talk about this, right? So again, before the season started, I said the Wolves are gonna be a really good team. I have them having home court advantage. They're looking like that. Anthony Edwards gets injured, and a lot of people think that okay, the magic is gone, and then you have Cat, Gobert, and Naz Reid all putting up 26, 28 points on the same night for that team, and they're all bigs. Like, they're making it work. Cat is having the best season of his career so far after the tough stretch shooting. Obviously, you saw what Cat did to us in both of those Warriors games back to back. I'm just loving the effort that he's showing, and I just pray that in the playoffs he's able to maybe not sustain this level, but as an all-around decision maker, raise his level up there, because people keep saying trade Cat. Minnesota is having their best season ever, and they're on the brink of having their first 10-game win streak as a franchise.
Really?
Right?
I didn't
that's
even
huge.
know about that.
Yeah, they have very weak opponents right now, so they should be able to do it, but they've never been this good, especially like to start a season. So this is really big for them. So that's a team that I'm going to pay a ton of attention to. Rudy Gobert, Defensive Player of the Year. I told KB I thought he was better than Anthony Davis defensively this season. And I stand on that. And it's kind of crazy, by the way, because after I said that, the next game we saw for the Lakers, what did the 76ers do? Not all on Anthony Davis. I'm not going to be nasty, but I'm just like, joking and pointing that out. Gobert's been phenomenal defensively all year long.
Again, and it's been consistent too. So that's the thing. I agree with you on Cat. If it doesn't say anything, being number one in the West is big for them. So I don't think there's conversations about trading Cat as of right now, especially with Ant out. How long is Ant gonna be out? Do they have any update on that?
They didn't give us a actual like date or anything. I know it's a hip thing for him, so he might be out for like
couple weeks,
a week or two. Yeah.
Okay, that's not bad at all. Hopefully they can keep their little streak. But Wolves could go to the finals. They've beaten all the best teams in the league already. Yeah, like we've already talked about, their matchup with Denver is kind of phenomenal. I think they're probably one of the best teams to match up with Denver and get in their way. I still have Denver going in the finals this season, but I think Timberwolves are definitely not to be played with for sure. But yeah, you were in the debate with Mustard, you were defending why they should keep Cat, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what were some of the arguments against that? Like, what were some of the things he was saying? I know it might change now that they're playing so well, but what do you think are some reasons why people would say still trade Cat?
Yeah. By the way, quick plug. Haley is talking about the Black Friday event on Players' Choice. Go tap into that. I debated Mustard for 3 rounds, won all 3 rounds in convincing fashion. The Shea one was close. We had one about Shea and Dame. That was closer. But the Curry versus Giannis and the should they trade Cat one, I dominated him in. So y'all can go watch it if y'all want. The points that he brought up were Cat's inconsistency in the playoffs, how much money he's making. And my counters were Cat is the only other player on the team that can be like an outlet for Anthony Edwards if Anthony Edwards doesn't have it going, as another guy who can like give you 20 points or give you like a huge scoring frenzy. And also because of his contract, he's not a player that you can just trade and just get better, especially when they're having a much better fit. And also, like, I hate the culture of the NBA, and chat, y'all let me know if y'all disagree with this or not, right? But I hate the culture to where you make a big splash, you trade like all your assets, you trade like 3 or 4 unprotected first round picks. You don't win for 2 seasons, and now it's okay, trade this guy. When you literally traded picks in like 26, 27, like so long in the future for this guy, and you want to blow up your team already. I think people have to remember that winning is hard in basketball. Like teams lose all the time, but the teams that stick with it, that build a culture, that build chemistry and continuity, those are the teams that ultimately go to the mountaintop. How many times did we see the Warriors stink it up and be like a super bad team with Steph? But they stood by Steph. They built it around him, and they became a dynasty overnight. Even with the Denver Nuggets who won last year, how many years did they stick with it? Even though, okay, we know Jamal is out for this entire year. We know MPJ is also out. We're going to stick with these guys. We're not going to fire our coach. We're going to take our losses in the hopes that we win one time. That's what it's about. And people have this mindset to where, oh, we live in 2023. I want results now. We're not seeing this work now, so let's trade everybody. That's not how life works, and that's certainly not how the NBA should work.
No, I 100% agree with you. Same with the Celtics. Like I applaud teams and organizations that are willing to stick by their guys, especially through those injuries or those tough years or those close misses. Like I think that says a lot. 97 said, I agree. No need to ruin a good thing, especially for a team like the T-Wolves who aren't used to having good things. Absolutely. Is this? No, I'm not gonna. Sorry.
That was hilarious.
Gonna let it slide. Tank, shush. Yeah. So, okay. What was some? Oh, I wanted to ask you. Speaking of coaches, I love the coach talk because, you know, we got like Joe Mazzulla over in Boston, who not my favorite coach, kind of a weird dude, but I respect him too. Then we got the Ime situation last night with LeBron, and I wanted to ask your take on that because that was so funny. Like Ime really thinks he's like that dude, and he is. He's intimidating for sure. I don't know what we've never really talked about like what you thought of him getting fired or whatever, him stepping away. But then he had some beef and ends up getting ejected last night. What are your thoughts?
So I looked at it from this perspective. I felt like Ime didn't want to back down and wanted to show backbone.
Yes.
And he was thinking about the team when he did that, because even though he got ejected from the game, I do think that set the tone. Like, we're not going to take shit from people. We're going to play hard as the team. Thanks. But I do also think that him getting ejected was kind of costly, because it's like you don't want to rob your team of your presence as a coach.
Yeah.
And some of this stuff is like, okay, you don't have to go that hard back to LeBron, but I like coaches stepping up for themselves, especially when it comes down to players. So I'm not mad at it.
No,
and,
me either.
As far as like the Celtics thing, it's unfortunate what happened and how that happened.
I know
it was so much question marks on like what happened in Boston, and to be honest, we still don't know.
No.
At first, I was wondering if it was like a harassment type of thing, but it wasn't. They said.
It was mutual.
Right. Yeah. And like from that perspective, it's like, all right, did he really need to get fired from Boston for this? They did.
Optics, I think.
I think if Ime was coaching that roster last year, they probably would have won the championship. Maybe.
I think so too.
Maybe, you know.
Maybe. I definitely agree with you though. I think Ime was a huge blow to them for sure. Pause. But yeah. So who was the other? Oh, I did want to ask as well about the Lakers getting blown out by so much to the Philadelphia Sixers. Thoughts on that? What happened there? And is that like a precursor to what we could see in the postseason? Like, I guess that's a possible finals matchup. I don't think it's gonna happen, but it could.
Man, I'm gonna be real with you. What we saw in that game was the final dagger. That was a sign of who Philadelphia is as a team. because with Nick Nurse, a much better coach than Doc Rivers, there's been more ball movement. They play better defense. They played very, very, very good basketball. And in that game, you saw Joel Embiid finish with the triple double in 3 quarters. His processing, his awareness, and his like impact from the game has looked better from last year. And also Tyrese Maxey is a star in this league now. Like he's been playing terrific basketball. I think he's probably the most improved player this season. Like he's just been really, really good. And you're seeing everything fall into place. To be fair to the Lakers, they had guys missing, but ultimately you can't get blown out by that much. I'm sorry. Like that's just a humongous win-loss ratio for you to go down in. And they also did get blown out a little bit by OKC too, which kind of speaks to where the NBA is now, especially in the West. A lot of these older teams that have like star players, legacy players, are losing to younger teams that are, coming to take over the league now.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. I think, I mean, my quarrel, I guess, with Philly is always their postseason, but regular season they can smack teams for sure. So that was crazy, and I feel kind of bad for them. But yeah, that was ugly. And I haven't heard your perspective on this, but I do think it is interesting. Speaking of OKC, any thoughts on Josh Giddey? I mean, we won't mention anything other than but any thoughts on what's going on there so far? And yeah, how do you think they've handled the situation?
I think it helps when you're winning a ton of games to where people kind of don't talk about it. Like the same thing happened with like the Suns owner, where like you heard all the news about him being racist and doing X, Y, or Z, but they're winning like 64 games. No one even talked about that. I feel like if they were losing games, that would be more of a point.
That's a good point.
It's a tough conversation to have with people, I think, because a lot of it comes down to what you think about harassment, consent, and all this and all that. Apparently the update is it did happen. Apparently the girl lied about her age. That's how she got in the club. It was a one-time thing. Josh Giddey found out that she wasn't, and he cut it off, and he told OKC. They're saying that's
or that's like the new update.
Yeah,
I haven't even heard that. Okay.
Yeah, so there was actually an article about this. I'm pretty sure put out by the NY Post or something like this. So it seems to be legit. I don't want to say it 100% is, but apparently OKC knew about this for a year now, and the family isn't stepping up to like do anything because she admitted to what she did, and they don't, I guess, want to ruin his career based off something that she did. Although I will say, I'm not sure how old that girl was, but it's just a very rough situation to be in. All in all,
from like, I mean, we can speculate all day, but you know what's interesting is like this just goes to prove why like making good decisions when you're young can make or break your life. I don't know about you, Gifted, but I've definitely made some bad decisions, and like they teach lessons for sure, but they also have hard consequences. So I think that this is just one of those situations for both of them. And they were both in a place they shouldn't have been in, and that's what has led to this, unfortunately. So, but I do love your point, and haven't heard it on the fact that OKC is winning games, so it's kind of being brushed under the carpet, which doesn't mean that's a good thing.
No,
my biggest gripe has been that big media hasn't talked about this at all, and
they spent more time talking about a reporter not talking about Josh Giddey than the actual Josh Giddey altercation, which is so weird to me.
It's so messed up. Like I know that people have their, I mean, on Malika or whatever. I don't know how you feel about her. From my understanding, though, and just working in sports, you guys have to understand she doesn't come up with prompts. Like she's told what to do. She is a puppet she's a mouthpiece for an organization. So your problem should come from them. Anyways, that's just my thoughts on that. But
I want to quickly read off Tank's comment because he is a fan. Tank said, as an OKC fan, there is enough circumstantial evidence to prove that the girl was below the age of consent, and whether she lied or not, he doesn't need to be on my team. I'm just like, I just think that regardless of where you stand, right? Even if you say, okay, well, she lied about her age, how would he have known? I just feel like as an NBA player, You just got to be able to move different and not push yourself in that position initially.
Yeah.
Also, if she's 14 or 15 masquerading as like an 18, 19-year-old, it's just a weird conversation to even like put yourself in that spot to be in. And I feel for Tank because it's like Josh Giddey before this, like I felt like he had some upside as a player. We got to see like how the season pans out because again, it's not 100% his fault, but he's still involved in this, and it still looks bad, no matter how you really, try to slice it.
Well, what I said on Thursday too is you're the older person in the situation either way, and you hold more authority and responsibility in checking on these things. So yeah, I mean, it's just a messy situation and it's sad, but yeah, I agree with you, Tank, and that's a good way to see it. And unfortunately, it's going to both impact her and him for the rest of their lives, like
100%.
especially in today's day and age. Like the
anytime you Google Josh Giddey, this will pop up
Karl
every
Malone's
single time.
Pop up. Yeah.
Oh
You're
yeah,
forever
bro.
Out. Like, I'm sorry,
bro,
it's not.
Did
funny.
you see
It's
the
not
picture?
funny.
Did you? No. Listen,
it's just the memes, man.
It's very serious, but there is a meme that had Josh Giddey and Karl Malone like AI animated together.
I saw it, and that was literally like an hour after.
After it dropped.
It was Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I was literally in bed. I was
was crazy.
I started reading. I was like, "What the heck is this?" And then it just got worse and worse. So
that was
Then crazy. I would say like these days, like Chill Tom said on Thursday, NBA players aren't going to need an ID. They're NBA players, and girls, like if you're cute enough, you get into clubs. Come on, let's be real here. So the club's probably going to have to be held accountable as well, unfortunately. So okay, yeah. So we'll see what happens and keep you updated. But yeah, crazy situation. Any more headlines, you guys in the chat, let us know if there's something you've seen this week. I'm trying to think of anything else that's been kind of crazy. That Laker game.
There's one big thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
A huge thing. So
yeah.
So like again, Chad, right? As a Detroiter, I've gone to like 5 or 6 games. The Pistons are on a 15-game losing streak, and I'm gonna quickly pull up their schedule to tell you why this is big news, in my opinion, because they have lost so many games, and their schedule, they have the hardest schedule left in basketball, Haley. I don't know.
Do they?
If you knew that. Yeah.
No, I did not.
So listen, I'm gonna read you off. Oh my God. Okay, first off, this is crazy because it's just nothing but L's, right? So they play Memphis, then they play Orlando, Indiana, the Sixers back-to-back, the Bucks, Atlanta, Utah, Brooklyn back-to-back, Celtics, Raptors. They've already lost 15 games, by the way. So they could legitimately lose 20 games straight. That could actually happen.
Wait a second. This is a trivia question. So let's see who can get this answer first. What is the worst record in NBA history? That's like in the most recent like few, not like freaking like 1970.
It has to be the Charlotte Bobcats.
In the 2000s, what's the worst record we've seen? Because .com just said they're not finishing. Sorry, field goal. Eagles up 3. Yeah. Okay.
Bobcats, right? Yeah.
Pistons 4-36.
Pistons did go 4-36. I forgot about that.
What year is that?
That did happen. I don't know what year that is.
2011 to 2012.
Okay, I see.
So 4-36. So how many wins do the Pistons have right now?
They have, I think, like 2 wins.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they only have 2 wins.
So in this situation, right, the Pistons are a young team. It's a new team, and they have a new coach. But who are you blaming for this? You've actually seen them live. You've seen kind of how things are working. So what's the situation? Because I'm a big Monty fan. Like, I thought he's a fantastic coach. You might disagree, so let me know. But what do you think is the problem here? Is it their schedule too?
So schedule's been a part of it. They play really good teams. I agree.
Yeah.
But what's frustrating me, right? Every Pistons game I've gone to, by the way, has been close. I went to the Warriors game. I went to the Hawks game without Trae Young playing basketball.
Okay.
And by the way, I saw the Denver game where Jokic and Mike Malone get ejected, and then Reggie Jackson takes the game over and they lose. I I think what the issue for Detroit has been, A, the spacing is abysmal, I think. B, they don't have consistent execution in the fourth quarters. They turn like in that Hawks game, which bothers me so much because I had great seats, right? I'm watching the game and it's like they just turn the ball over. Like they're in the game to the very end, and then like with 4 minutes left, they just turnover, score, and they lose. They
But
lose
that's their
away every
young.
single time.
That's her lack of experience probably
Yeah.
kicking in the nerves and everything. What about Cade? I mean, you seeing him live, I think seeing a player live and what's really going on is so much different than on TV. How has he looked? How has he seemed? Does he seem frustrated? Does he seem capable? What do you think's gonna happen with him?
Cade is in such a weird spot as a player because I think his skills as a player, I think he's above average in a lot of things, but he's not a master at anything, and he's not an efficient basketball player. He turns the ball over a lot. I'm pretty sure he's leading the league in turnovers, but who he's playing with, I mean, he's been in lineups where he's arguably the best spacer, or Isaiah Stewart is their best spacer because that's how poor the shooting has been. And in the fourth quarters, they don't care about anyone on the court. They're saying everyone else can beat us. We're gonna like send doubles and triples at Cade. But at the same time, I don't think that his like processing and his decision making has been great either. So it's hard to know if that's just who Cade is as a player or if it's more situation. I like to lean more situation based because at his best, Cade has done some really great things.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like such a central point to what's been part of the like rookie of the year conversation with like Chet and Wemby, right? Where Chet has such a far better situation, which makes him look better. He's also a redshirt rookie, so that helps to have another year of growth and age and everything. But same with Cade. Like, what could Cade be like if he were on a team like the Mavericks? If he were on a team like the Nugget, like
Bro,
I
the
think
Magic. Can you imagine Cade on the Magic?
Do the Magic
as their guard? Like, oh.
That's what I'm wondering. Like, I'm not super familiar with his contract or what that looks like, but he just is he on a rookie deal still?
I believe Cade is on his rookie deal still. Actually, that's a great question. Let me check that because I don't know.
Yeah, because 97 said Cade and Scotty are former high school teammates. So I'm just saying, yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, Cade is still on his current rookie contract right now still, yeah.
Why does Tank said it's only Cade's second year? What do you mean?
Oh, because technically his first year he played, his second year he played 7 games and then missed the rest of the entire season, and this is his third year. So
okay,
technically you could count it as that because he's barely played 81 games total. So like I get his point about that.
Okay. So I guess it's a possibility that trades could be in his future, especially because he's going to be so like, I think you can only take so much of the Pistons before you got to go. But I want to see them elevated at the same time. And I hoped Monty could do that in a way. But again, what he's working with it's not the best recipe for success. So
agree.
But if you look at like the Rockets, though, they've been able to elevate and win games after being a really bad franchise for a few years. So, I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen with them. But do you see
the thing
hope
with that is though? I think the Rockets just has. I think the Rockets just have much better talent. Detroit really doesn't have talent. I like Asor Thompson. I like Jalen Duren. Killian Hayes is one of the worst offensive players in the NBA. He's playing like better this year, sure, but I mean, it's still not like great production.
Yeah.
They have Isaiah Stewart being the 4 that his spacing looks improved on lower volume, but he's still not attacking closeouts and creating advantages, which 4s need to be able to do. So even that's still questionable.
Yeah.
And this is their first year under Monty Williams. It's just a lot of questions with that team, honestly.
Yeah. How do you think Frank Vogel's been for the Suns?
Honestly, solid. I mean, he has not known who's gonna play for that team for some time now because Bradley Beal's been out, KD's missed some time, Booker's missed some time, and they're just finding ways to win basketball games. I don't think he's been bad at all. You know what I'm saying? He's been okay.
Yeah, I agree. I've been pleasantly surprised. And I don't want to harp on this too much, but Darvin Ham, Lakers. what do you think about him? Do you think this is his last season coaching with the Lakers?
So like it's so hard to play for the Lakers.
Yeah.
Because regardless if you're a player or a coach, if you're losing and they think you're a reason why, like people are gonna know. Like,
yeah,
they're going to know. Oh, Gabe Vincent, you suck at basketball. Like,
yeah,
if people feel that way, they're gonna know. My thing with him as a coach is I feel like he's not a great coach. I feel like he's prone to making bad lineups, bad rotations, and doesn't adjust quick enough.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is a guy that a lot of people praised when they made a much deeper playoff run. I kept saying, as good as this Lakers roster is, I don't trust Darvin Ham as a coach. So I don't think he's great. Will he get fired? I don't think that they're going to fire another coach next to LeBron and Anthony Davis. I think they're just going to go through it, honestly.
Yeah. I had, let me see if I'm playing the game, but I had a start bench cut and I'm going to post that in a video on Player's Choice later, but you guys will get a little bit of a heads up. So you guys in the chat tell me to start bench cut, Austin Reeves, Jordan Poole, and Malik Monk.
Oh, that's
easy.
I wonder what the chat says on that. Yes. Start bench cut, Austin Reeves, Malik Monk, and Jordan Poole chat.
Really? You're starting Austin?
No. I was re-saying the thing
okay.
Here. Yeah.
Okay. Tank is, though. Goodbye, Jordan. Cut Poole. I mean, that was the easy one, but the other two were the
Poole's
ones where I'm like,
Poole's getting cut. Yeah.
Poole's getting cut. I mean, if you're taking full career, maybe yes.
I might start Monk over Reeves, to be honest with you.
This season,
I think Monk has been very good.
I think so too. But Tank's going Reeves, Monk, Poole. Yeah, it's just an interesting one because literally another one we always hear is like Tyler Hero, Jordan Poole, Austin Reeves. Right?
Tyler will start easily. He's been the best player out of any of them this year. Easily. Like super easily. Tyler Hero was playing like an all-NBA player before he got hurt.
I know. But
it was crazy to watch.
What's Miami do, Gifted? Like, what do they do? I made a video last week and people were like pissed off because I like suggested a trade of Tyler Hero, which is fine. Like, I get it. You love him. He's great, but he's always injured. So are you going to do the same thing where you barely slide by, somehow you make the finals and you lose again because you don't have enough firepower or a second option alongside Jimmy Butler? So do you think are they in the trade talks for anybody? Maybe a DeMar, maybe a Levine. I don't know who's even available for them, but you think they're
I think Miami is more in talks to just try to get another wing type of player on their roster. Like, if they could add a guy like DFS, I think that would make sense. Shoot, if they could add Lauri Markkanen to their team, that would make a ton of sense for them too.
Are you talking Dorian Finney-Smith?
Yeah.
Is he? Yep. Wait, he's on the Nets, right?
Sure is.
But okay. Freaking Miami has superpowers every time. And I do love Miami. It's like, dude, if you get to the finals again, I want to see you win. Like, you got to capitalize.
100%.
I cannot see you falter in the same way. And another thing I said, I was like, Jimmy Butler, like, if this happens again, he's done. He's going to leave. But I might be wrong because at this point, what's his trade?
But see, listen, that's the thing though, because Miami has had players pop for them, right? I said coming in, Hayward Highsmith is going to probably become a real player. He's done that. And Jaime Jaquez has been better than a lot of players in his draft already. Like,
he's been great.
Bro, I think right now he's like the third rookie.
He is.
And rookie of the year outside of,
it's like
dominant, man.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, even like Lively, Asar, Amen, like they've kind of fallen, but Jaime's definitely up there. So
for sure.
I don't know what the deal is with Miami. I'm trying to think of any other team that's kind of been on the radar, but Miami for me, I love them. I want to see them be successful, especially in the East where it's tight, but it's not as tight as it looks. Like, it's not just Bucks Celtics. Eastern Conference Finals.
How sorry.
Who do we miss?
How can we not talk about the Magic? Oh my God, the Magic deserve like a huge corner.
Okay.
They are another team that's also on the verge of having a 10-game win streak. They've been playing outstanding basketball. They ousted the Celtics. They beat the Nuggets as well, I'm pretty sure. They've been playing really good basketball, man. And it's crazy because you're not seeing like Paolo or Franz take like dramatic, crazy superstar leaps. They're just playing good. And like they're finding ways to win every single game. Their defense has been some of the best defense that I've seen in basketball so far this year. They have they're not even playing Jonathan Isaac as much as they were to start, and he's been great defensively as well when he's played. Jalen Suggs is playing like an all defensive guard as well. They've just been very good, man. They've been fun to watch.
Yeah. Shout out to the Magic. Another team where we're just like, okay, this is the future. And they've been so bad for so long. It's exciting to see them jump up in the ranks for sure. Any out of the Eastern Conference, do you think we'll see any first time All-Stars or anybody? Like, what's your All-Star list so far from what you've seen? Because we're getting close. Like we're only a couple months out.
We are close. I think Tyrese might be playing like a all-star starter, to be honest. I think he's been very, very good.
Yeah. Agreed.
I would go Joel Embiid, Giannis, of course. I'm trying to think of the other guard in the East I would take.
Does Dame get voted in just because it's Dame?
Dame has picked it up. So I could see Dame as the second guard. I'm just trying to think if there's some other guard that's been playing better than Dame specifically in the East right now.
Let's see. In the East, well, Brunson, could he possibly be an all-star?
Oh, Brunson been hooping.
He has been, but he's also wait, do they get voted in because it's East-West, or is this just like they still get voted, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if people are gonna vote Brunson because it's I don't know. There's like a weird, I don't know.
See, like it's weird because Dame wasn't getting the votes, even though he was clearly playing at that level.
Yeah.
I think Dame going to the Bucks, which is like a very high profile team, he'll probably get the votes, but Brunson's in New York and he's playing again like the best player, so I could see Brunson getting that too. I don't know. That's a good question right there, honestly.
Yeah, and then Tank said Chet or Wemby could be all-stars as rookies, which is very true.
That's possible. That's very possible, actually.
Oh my God. So who do you think is more likely? Because I feel like Chet has you think because it's Wemby, you don't think so?
So I think Chet is more likely to make the All-Star game because the logic would be, OKC's winning a whole lot of games. Chet has also been a great big man. I'm pretty sure he's averaging near 50, 40, 90 as a rookie, which is insane. His defense, he's been one of the best defenders in the league so far as well. And he's played a lot of the games. He hasn't really missed time. So all of those things factored in will put him in the running for All-Star. Wemby's case is he's playing very impactful basketball for a team that absolutely sucks. But because he's like the most hyped rookie prospect since LeBron, he would probably get a ton of votes off of that. And also he has the whole international thing that works in his favor as well.
Right.
I would think.
Wait, that's a good question. Can you know how you vote for All-Stars? Can you vote internationally or is it just in the country? Because if that's the case, Wemby might get hella votes from France.
Wemby's gonna get hella votes from France.
So you can vote anywhere in the world?
Get that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, anywhere in the world you can vote, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
That's fire. Church. Wemby's the hype right now. I agree with you, but I think Chet definitely has a better case, especially with OKC being second in the West. But I'm trying to think. Okay, so as far as the Western Conference, is Steph an All-Star starter?
Yes, I would say he's All-Star starter. Yeah.
Is LeBron?
Mm-hmm. LeBron think about the votes. Over. Okay. So then I'll go with locks first to me. Okay.
Okay.
Jokic lock for me.
Yes.
Lock. I think Kevin Durant might be a lock as well in the front court with him.
Agreed.
He's played some good basketball. Yeah. That leaves one more forward spot open in the Western Conference. So Bron's a front court guy. You can say Lord Marketing, but he's probably not going to make it realistically.
It's got to be Bron. I don't even think it matters. I think it's got to be Bron.
Right? Honestly, it doesn't matter because Bron is going to get fan votes. So Bron should be like a lock. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So it's LeBron, KD. Then we got guards. I'm just going to say Steph. It's
so
always
Bron,
Steph.
KD, Jokic, Shea, and Steph is probably the starters this year.
No, Luka.
Oh, Luka.
Is it because if we have a toss up between Shea and Luka, who's going to get more fan votes?
I don't think. Yeah. I think Luka's getting more fan votes than Shea.
You think?
I do.
I feel like
I honestly
everybody can. I think like real NBA fans can agree Luka's greater right now. Luka's just unreal, but at the same time, I feel like Shea has so many fans. It's insane. Like
That's
he
true,
has
but the thing
such a
is,
hype.
Luka has been making like all stars and all NBAs
Yeah,
back to back to back years, and
yeah.
he has like basically Europe really rocks with Luka. He gets those votes every year, so I think that
Mhm.
would probably outweigh Shea. Honestly, if you made me pick,
Okay.
right?
I
Steph would get in off of the strength of it's Steph, and he's
yeah.
like the next biggest draw in the NBA outside of LeBron.
Right.
I think.
Definitely. People always want to see LeBron and Steph. And then Kyrie is an interesting one because I did another start bench cut where I think it was I can't remember who it was. It was like it was Dame, Kyrie, and I think like Trey or something. But a lot of people think that Kyrie is one of the best guards in the league right now. I mean, he's definitely up there, but I just haven't thought the most of Kyrie so far this season. I don't know.
I think Kyrie's good, but I think there's like a lot of guards that I could say are just better than him. I mean, like people often think about Kyrie because of like his handles, 3-point shooting, and like his like craftiness as a scorer. But as a player, I think there's many players better than Kyrie right now, to be honest.
Yeah, agreed. Thoughts on what Tank said? My hot take is no Clippers make the All-Star team.
Oh wow. So Kawhi
He
has
didn't
not been
mention
playing
any of
like a
them.
star. James Harden is starting to figure things out. Paul George has been their best player this season. Obviously just hit the step back game winner over us. Paul George has a case. I don't think Kawhi is gonna get votes. I don't think like
No, he better
Paul
not.
George might be the most marketable guy on that team, to be quite honest with you.
I think so for sure. I mean, not only has he been the best player, Harden, nope. I'm sorry. I don't want to see Harden in an all-star. I don't think he wants to be there. And Kawhi, I love Kawhi and I'm just so disappointed in how he's played this season. It's been disappointing. And also FIFA, I literally put the link 3 times. You're ducking the smoke and you know that.
He kept.
You know
Look
that.
at FIFA getting caught.
Birds just kicked another field goal. They're up 6. We're playing like trash, so that's disappointing.
Unfortunate.
So let me see. Yeah, I just think that the Clippers overall, I mean, we have about 5 minutes. Gifted thoughts on the Clippers, like what you've seen from them, because I've seen not necessarily as much yesterday, but in that first game against Clippers, it was literally so frustrating. I am so glad I'm not a Clippers fan because they look so disinterested. There's zero chemistry. I've never seen worse chemistry. Like the Warriors were bad. I'll admit that. We're real bad. We're no better than the Clippers. But at least we like seem to like each other and like being out there. What are your thoughts there?
So for the Clippers, I think the trade, they've taken a while to figure out how to play together. They've taken a while to put out the right rotations. I'm still seeing lineups in 2023 that have Bones, Highland, Westbrook, Harden, Powell, and Kawhi at the 5. We should never see those lineups. Those are terrible lineups. Kawhi, as a whole, has not played well to his standard this season. He's starting to pick it up more, which is good. But overall, Paul George, to me, has still been the best player on that team. Harden had a couple stinkers, but ultimately their best lineup now features Harden. I'm pretty sure there's like a plus 22 when you have Harden, Kawhi, Paul George, Man, and Zubac. That's like their best lineup, I would imagine. And Harden is really picking it up overall as a playmaker. My issue before these 2 games with Harden was he had moments where he would just like not take shots. And it's like you have to apply scoring gravity to make them like fear you, to make the offense better. And Harden's been doing that. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely more yesterday too, but it's just ugly. They just don't look like they want to be there. Somebody said free Russ. Yeah, I mean, Russ, I think it's good to see what we've seen from Russ and his willingness to kind of humble himself and come off the bench. I don't know necessarily if it's proven that they're better with Harden on the floor versus Russ on the floor. If you say so, I do believe you, Gifted. But I just like either way, they have been bad. Are they above us in the Western Conference or are we?
They are after the last game
Okay,
we played. I'm
then I
pretty
guess I should
sure.
just shut up because I'm wrong. Like I probably
By
shouldn't
the
be
way,
talking smack.
I don't listen, Tank. That's a nasty comment because you can say that, but that's off a 3-game sample size, and we're not playing competition. So what does that really mean? Like, okay, they had the best offense. That's such a limited sample size. I think they're better with James Harden on the floor now. I mean,
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think we have a big enough like sample size to be like it. Yes, guaranteed. I think that their ceiling with Harden on the floor should be higher. I just don't know if it'll happen. But yeah, I think you're right, Gifted. Russ has
Harden's
so
a better
many.
player than Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, but
I like Westbrook. I respect who he was as a prime player, but I just feel like what people don't acknowledge is because he's a non-spacer, when you have Russ and Zubac on the floor, Kawhi and Paul George tend to take tougher shots if they're not in transition. And that roster as a whole isn't like a transition type of team. For years, they've always been like a isolation-based type of team. And when you have Russ and Paul George trying to isolate on the ball, with Russ and Zubac on the court and they're not actively cutting, it makes it easier to defend, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we just got to give it some more time, but we'll see. Either way, they're bad, but so are we. So, all right, you guys, and yeah, just so you know, I know some of you guys asked about KB. He'll be back next week, but he's just dealing with some family stuff. So hopefully, everything will work out on that end. But yeah, and guys, please get the likes up. We're still kind of new. I think we're only like 6 or 7 weeks into our podcast, and we're gonna start putting out clips and stuff more soon. But we're still working out everything. So please get the likes up before we jump off, and leave a comment so we can get it out to more people. Even if it's hate, let us know. We want to know what you really think about the Dubs. You can't hurt us. We just want the truth, and of course comments help us push this as well. If you know anybody who loves the Warriors, please let them know about our pod so they can get started. But we appreciate you guys in the chat for coming every week. You guys are dope, and we do appreciate you. Gifted, just go ahead and let them know about where they can find you, especially on playback and all that.
Absolutely. So literally in an hour at 6:00, I'm going to be on playback, and we're going to be looking at the Indiana Pacers and why they've been such a good team. We're going to be actually watching film from some of their games and highlighting why they've been so good and the greatness of Tyrese, Haliburton, and some other players for their roster that has looked good so far. So if you're interested in that, tap into me on playback, playback.tv/giftedhoops. It's a site where you can watch basketball with people if you have League Pass. Even if you don't have League Pass, if you just pull up there, we should be able to like share screens so you can see the film. But in terms of me as a content creator, all of my places are Gifted Hoops, except on Twitter because someone has that name, so it's Gifted X Hoops. So Gifted Hoops pretty much everywhere else. I also have a Twitch channel where I play games and other stuff. It's JJK and anime stuff on there too at Gifted X Gaming. So that's really it for me. I can't wait to break down this Pacer basketball discussion at 6:00. So that's me.
Wait, Gifted, do you play games on Twitch, or can you just like
I
talk?
do.
Could you just do like a podcast on Twitch, like, or like just talk? Would people watch that? Or do you have to game?
No. So yeah. So on Twitch, you can literally do whatever you want. If you wanted to talk in the microphone about random things that are going on in your life, you can. If you wanted to play a game, you can. If you wanted to watch a movie or clip, you can. You might get DMCA, but if you play it right, you can kind of get away with it slightly.
Guys,
anything you want to do, yeah, sure.
But I'm not gonna just talk about my life. I'll do like NBA. Why is everybody coming for me? Hold on, I'm gonna read this. Your star. Thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Greetings to the queen, brother Gifted.
Salute.
And that man Luca, yo. Yeah, you're absolutely right. He is unreal.
He's been great, man.
Huncho. Give me time. I'm gonna go watch this game now. We're gonna sign off. Make sure to stay tuned for
hilarious.
Make sure to stay on for the Bull Show. But again, we appreciate you guys. And you can follow me, Hoops with H, on Instagram and Twitter. 2 zeros. All right, you guys. We're gonna sign off. Have a great rest of your day. See ya.
Peace.